Sport tonight, Fernworth Primary School is the first in the south to embrace a new physical education program called Cracker Jack. Former All Blacks centre Ronnie Clark was in the city promoting the course with creator Sue Morris. Also putting the students through their paces were former Stag Ione McDonald and former Tall Black and current Sharks coach Paul Hanare.
Part of Cracker Jack's program since pretty much its origins, pretty much since its beginning. It was a program that really came out of the heart of preparing children to winning the most important game of all, the game of life, which comes out of also the heart of the organisation that Cracker Jacks is part of Quantum Sport. And it's not just about really helping kids to prepare for life, but it's also even at those young athletes at the academy level, preparing them for the limelight, so to speak. That's another part of what we do at Quantum. But Cracker Jacks, one part that I play here is involving a whole lot of both past and present elite athletes that have kind of lived that same value of the way I've played, the way I've lived my life has an influence on the next generation. And so it's about those athletes who are mindful of positively influencing the next generation that I really start to bring together and utilise them about speaking about their life stories at these launches. Because I can remember when Don Oliver, Brian Williams, and back in my those days, when they came to my school and they were talking about not just about what they did in their sport, but a lot of the life values, the things that I needed about courage, the things about honesty and about achieving and also about believing in yourself. And I think today a lot of children grow up and they miss a lot of that. It's easier for them to stop and give up and not do something. And I think that's what we want to do is bring back those values and say to them, come on, if at first you don't succeed, keep trying again, find a different way. And it's those sort of values of perseverance, endurance that we really want to help them to really make part of who they are.
And who knows, they may go home and encourage their parents to get physically active as well, which that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? That everyone's out doing something physical.
Yeah.
How important is it that parents are encouraging kids to get outside and play and that sort of thing? I mean, we hear that kids go home and switch on the Xbox.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that's because, but I feel for parents as well because we're so busy. A lot of parents have got to, find another job or two jobs to keep meeting the needs of our kids. The older they get, and all of a sudden the needs, finances that you need to, and so a lot of parents miss that time of really sowing back into their children these values. And so the thing about it, so kids now are sitting in front of Xboxes and when the game gets too hard,
playing sports on Xboxes.
Isn't that ironic? And the thing about it though is that what they miss is when they're playing a game, whether it's a blood and guts game or it's a sports game or something like that, it's easy when you lose just to play reset, or when it gets tough, reset. But when you're out and you're playing, in sport, you've got to, in every choice that you make is a consequence, and you've got to deal with it then and there. And so what we want to do is help kids, instead of looking to think, well, I'll just press a reset button. What that looks like in life is the kid says, that's too hard for me, I'm not going to do it. Rather than them getting there and just dealing with things and helping them to really start to build that character. There were a lot of organisations back in the day that, back in the 50s, 60s and 70s, where you had the Brownies, Boy Scouts and Boys Brigade that were set up to help kids to build that life character in them, but they're not prevalent these days. It's PS3, it's Xbox, and it's unfortunately, and parents are really, really busy. So I think now what Quantum and what Cracker Jacks does, it comes alongside and helps the parents to be able to instill those values while they're at school. And the great thing about it is that we teach the teachers to do that because the teachers have the relationship with the kids. So that's a big part of what Cracker Jacks does.
No, I can't let an interview end with you without asking you about the Blues. How do you feel about the season so far? Sir John Kirwan, of course. What are your feelings?
Well, someone asked me that before the season started. What do you think of the feeling? I said two things. well, actually 3. One obviously is having someone like John Kerwin take the reins, and he's done well with Japan, done well with this, and it's him coming home as well. He knows the culture, and so that's a great thing about him.
And having Graham Henry having a look over your shoulder is not too bad either.
2. Yeah, Graham Henry is the Graham Henry factor. I mean, he's like the Wayne Smith is to the Chiefs, and I think that's to Dave Rennie at the Chiefs, and I think Graham Henry is exactly like that to John Kerwin and the players. So, I mean, having those sort of minds and experience alongside the coaches is amazing. So it's awesome. So he was my second factor. The third thing that I said was, these are young boys, unknown quantity. People don't know who they are. I've seen them over the years develop, and they've got huge potential. So when you've got the likes of Graham Henry and John Kerwin that are starting to knit these boys together as a team with the potential they have, I kind of predicted that later on we're going to see them knock over some big teams. And, well, look, we've already seen that now. So now for them it's about consistency. It's about them continuing to continue to keep that momentum going. Bit of a hiccup over the last weekend against the Bulls, but, with 6 new caps against the Bulls, who were, close to full strength. They went at full strength obviously too, but I think the Blues are looking to let's just say they've started.
And Rene Ranger, how do you feel?
I'm a huge fan of Rene. I've you're trying to work out over the years, is he a winger, is he a centre, and seen him begin to develop. Well, I think he's really beginning to assume that role as a centre a lot more. Added that with his flair and now it's just him about growing in that position, the ability to be able to move the ball into space, recognising space. Added to that with and develop his skills around of delivery. It's all those sort of things. But I think the biggest thing that he has also is that attacking, that flair. And no one knows what he's going to do, and I think that's a real good thing that he's got. And of course he'll work over that his defence, so he'll become a lot more menacing in the defensive department as well. So I expect great things of him as well, and he doesn't take a step back, which is always a good thing. I always have a thing with the midfield. I call them the Iron Curtain. Second 5 centre are the Iron Curtain of the back line. No one, and it's an attitude around defence. No one gets through them, and I think that's the more that our midfielders, whether they're in the Blues or the Hurricanes or the Crusaders, as midfielders take, and I coach that way, midfielders, you guys are the Iron Curtain of the back line. Be it, assume it, feel it. Yeah.
I really admire New Zealand sports people. They really punch above their weight. But how much more we could build into kids' lives if we've given them the confidence and the competence to participate in games.
So maybe like 2 or 3 in 100 students go on to become very good at a sport, but it is important that everyone's physically active, isn't it, for our well-being?
Well, I often ask the teachers, can you name how many children you have taught that have actually gone on to represent New Zealand? And not many teach a child that's gone on to represent New Zealand. And if you look at the underlying concepts of health and physical education, it's about health promotion. It's about being able to participate actively. It's about somebody having the confidence to go down to the beach and throw a frisbee or play a beach game or play social netball. A lovely story yesterday of a little girl who, we're just playing a tag game, and she was getting tagged a lot. And we talked about some of the movements that she could do to help, and we talked about twisting and changing direction, and she went off, and I saw success in her, and she came back, and I said, so did that help you? And the smile on her face is the reason I teach, and that we can give the kids, just like we give them maths and reading skills, we can actually teach them to participate more actively and change their attitude towards being active around, so that we do develop their confidence and competence.